Welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk, where myself, Lisa, Elise, and Jeanette all meet Friday mornings for coffee, and we talk all things spirit. We're the channeler and intuitives, I guess, from Avalon Spirit, and we haven't been here in 2 weeks. So we are meeting here on the 31st of December, 2021, New Year's Eve day, just to talk about what's been going on through this season and maybe a few predictions. If we get there, we'll see what happens. So everybody, welcome. Thanks for tuning in this week.
So awesome. And it is such an auspicious day today. Like we were talking a little bit before we started of this energy on Earth, or this 3D energy that is really chaotic and crazy, but the undercurrent, we haven't used that term in a long time, but the undercurrent is so steady, which is really weird. And I think if we go back to the solstice, because before we took our week off, it hadn't quite hit the solstice. We were just before the solstice. And so we had the solstice come in, and what I got from Spirit was that something came in. There was a new plan, a new creation, something came in. But after the solstice, I was like, okay, what was it, guys? What was it? And I would tune in and I would get nothing. And they were like, wait. I'm like, what? Again? Like, we're waiting again. Really? And it was like, what I got from them was that there's like this light switch, almost like if we picture like a cockpit of a plane, and we have this new circuitry board, and we have all the things flicked and ready to go, but we need that final switch to like start the engines, right? Or whatever. Pardon my poor understanding of it. But I feel like that's what we're waiting for. And there's something, like I mentioned to you guys before, I keep seeing from Spirit this lock, you know, those locks that have numbers on them, and it's flipping to like 2, 2, 2, 2. And it's like when we hit 2022, it can be activated, or the switch can fully come on. And what I realized this morning is that January 1st is actually a 2 number, right? Because it's the first day of the first month. So it's a 2 in a 2022 year. So there's your 2222. So although the energies feel to my physical self crappy and heavy and tumultuous and everything, the undercurrent and the timings feel to me very much like there is a switch that turns on when we hit the energy of 2022, and that keeps bringing me a lot of hope.
Yeah, one thing I noticed too, right after the solstice, and it was kind of, actually it was on the solstice that I did the first one and then another one after that. So in readings, and I think you guys were having similar things where prior, like mid-December and earlier, I would do a reading and people would be like, oh, what does the timing of that look like? And da-da-da. And I'm like, next year sometime, maybe? Like it was very broad. Timelines were all over the place. No one was like, I wasn't getting clarity on, it could be, you know, it's going to be this time or it's going to be this time. It was like, well, it could be spring, but it also could be summer, but maybe right now, but maybe fall, maybe in 5 years. That's all they're telling me. And it was very wishy-washy. And then I did a reading for someone on the solstice, and it just happened to kind of play out that day, or that was the day we would do it on. And I was getting such specific timelines, and like, it's going to be in February, this time, around this date, there's going to be snow on the ground. Like all of a sudden there was this shift in readings around very clear timelines. And obviously there's always the ability for timelines to shift and change, but like just in general, whether you're getting timelines in readings or not, because time for Spirit is not linear like it is for us. So sometimes it can be a little bit vague. If you're looking for like a specific date, time, hour sort of situation.
Yeah.
But it was such a big shift from getting very little around timing to like between February and March, there's going to be snow on the ground. You're going to go to this place, like so clear. And it kept happening. Like more and more people that I was doing readings for over the last couple of weeks, I was getting these really specific, clear timelines that are now starting to show up as like, oh, actually, yeah, my family just reached out and asked if I wanted to come to our family cabin around that time. Or like it's almost already starting to get those confirmations. So I found that really interesting because that's been something I found in 2021 that was like a constant up in the air, Yeah.
Yeah, the timelines have not been consistent for a very long time.
And lots of like glitching between them too, even within moments. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I even had one day where I looked at my phone and it said 25%. So I'm like, okay, I need to plug it in. So I plugged it in. Split second later, I'm doing something on my phone and I see it's 100%. And I'm like, why is this plugged in? So I unplug it. And then second or two later, I look at my phone again and it's like 25%. And I'm like, why did I unplug it? It was like two parallel timelines so close together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so vivid for me too, though. Like it wasn't, I don't know, sometimes we can get lost and we can be like, oh, I was imagining or I this. Like it was so vivid and concrete and actions connected to it.
Yeah.
It was really wild. So at least you feel like timelines like clicked in the solstice, hey?
I do. I think there's still potential for those to shift, but I think there's certain the what they're showing me is like an aerial view of like a bunch of different train tracks. And there's like one train track that's like, yep, that one's good. Like this one's pretty clicked into place. But then there's all these other kind of aspects of life, maybe, that you can like see where they can still kind of flip flop either way. So I think that the sense that I'm getting is like there might be certain areas of life where you feel really aligned or like kind of locked and loaded, ready to go down that path. But then other stuff might feel like, well, I have a clearer idea, but it still feels a little wishy-washy to me, is kind of the understanding that I'm getting. It's like the solstice, because I will say so the couple readings that I did where there were really specific timelines, they were really personal. It was things that you need to do this for yourself to link back to yourself. Like they were like acts of self-care or ways to go inward or like space that somebody needed to carve out for themselves to support themselves. Which kind of makes me think that what clicked in was like the embodiment track of like, this is going, like, this is the plan. You need to do these things. This is what's going to help us or help each person individually from like an embodiment, really being grounded in who they are, in their bodies, in their hearts, in their mind, body, spirit, right? Like that real deep connection with self versus like some of the other stuff is where I feel might still be up in the air.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. How about for you, Lisa?
I think this simple way I feel for me to describe a very complex thing is that usually we find comfort within the knowing. So then it's like when we know what's going to happen, then we can like get comfortable in that knowing. But it's almost like they're showing me that it's happening opposite. It's like they want us to, when I say they, I mean like our guides, higher self, really, I'm trusting the universal protection right now. So they're saying, come in and be grounded and comfortable right now before you know what's going to happen, because like we got you. So that when you talk about undercurrent, it really like it hit that sense for me where it's like we all generally as humans feel more comfortable when we know what's going on, and that sense of the unknown or living like without that grounding, that can cause a lot of anxiety or fear. And I think the energy that they're really trying to like permeate in through our like our guides and our knowing, our unconscious knowing, is to be stable and calm, have the calmness happen before you know what's going to happen, because they're like, you can't quite know, there's some stuff that needs to go on, but just trust. You know what I mean? Like almost like children where it's like, but where are we going? They have this like innate ability to just trust their parents when their parent has that energy of like, it's going to be okay, just trust me. So they're like, okay, you know. And it's like they really want us to have that sense of protection where it's like, just trust us. You don't know what's going to happen yet, but it's like that calmness that's coming through before the knowing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, big time.
So normally I think like even my personal situation right now, normally I'd be all like scattered, like what's going to happen, where are we going to be, what's going on, like got this or that. It's almost like I've never been so calm. Also like extremely like anxious in different times and like losing sleep. But then without knowing, like when when you go into your sense of knowing, really like, and like, it helps that I'm in my like sound room with my crystals and you guys, right? But that's just it, is like right now, that's my knowing. That's my parents saying it's okay. You know, and that's my nurturing self of knowing, is that universal like embrace almost, where I'm like, okay, I don't know, but it's gonna be okay. I think they really want people to have that sense right now. So if you can like even stop and just like tune in a little bit to that, just like maybe the visualization is that embrace from the universal love, whether it's God, whether it's your guides, whether it's Gaia, whatever it is that gives you that universal sense of like nurturing and knowing. Maybe just go there for a sec. And it's like, that's going to help bring you into this like sense of self, this core comfort before we know everything.
That's a really
saying you don't need to know for you to be calm. You can be calm before you know.
Yeah, trusting in that path. That reminds me of, if we need help in trusting that higher path, sometimes stepping up into that higher view can help us. And this is why, because as I'm listening to what you're saying, it's making a lot of sense. Of course, I have a whiteboard here. So if we take the idea of the mind, right? So our mind often looks to the body for the mirror of what is happening, right? The body will mirror what the mind is thinking, just as the mind too can also mirror the body.
Totally.
Right? They're kind of like these duality pieces, these two sides that can give us an understanding, but the two sides really give us a black and a white understanding. But when we connect that to the Trinity of spirit and we view from this angle, then we start to see all the many shades of gray from spirit of how this can be. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So what I'm thinking is, when we're getting caught up and lost in like, what's happening here with all my thoughts are running crazy, or why am I feeling sick and tired and fatigued and blah blah blah, why am I so sensitive to everything, instead of just looking to the mind of like, what am I thinking, or what am I doing, or maybe I'm reading too much, or say the mind is like, I need to exercise more, but my body won't let me because my body's too exhausted, and you just keep going back and forth. It's like, go up here and see what the spirit has to say, because what the spirit is going to say is exactly what you're saying. Like, we got you. We got you. If you stay and look at it from this perspective, we've got you in the many different shades of gray that it can be. It's not stuck in one or the other. So kind of like trust the process.
Yeah, and I think crazy. That doesn't mean absolutely give up all your responsibilities and everything and just be like, I'm just with spirit, I have no more responsibilities and there's no more action steps, right? Because I think some people, when I say things like that, they'll be like, oh yeah, and so we're just not supposed to do anything, we're just supposed to sit and meditate all day, you know, like, but then I think that's really getting caught in the black and the white, you know what I mean? And it's more like, no, get out of that ping pong back and forth and just allow the Trinity, because it's not then just up at the top either. It's this constant fluid motion, and the mind, body, spirit can help move. It can help calm. It can help stay. It can help decide, all of it. Right?
Yeah. Totally.
I like that.
Interesting.
So maybe that's just intentions. Maybe that's just like even that slight bit that we can hold on to. Because I know that like literally every single person that I know that I've talked to in the last 2 weeks, that's a little piece that maybe we could hold on to. You know what I mean? Like a glimmer of hope might seem a little extreme, but kinda.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What were you going to say, Elise?
As you guys were talking, so prior to recording, we were talking about like, let's be honest, like what's with the funky energy this Christmas? Like, I think I myself was like, oh, I can't wait for a break and like slow down. And I've got a really quiet Christmas, like holiday planned. And it's like minus 10 trillion here. So like, we're not leaving the house, and like permission to just stay in your jammies all day if you want, and like rest, recharge, all the good stuff. And it just has felt gross, if I'm honest. Like I've like physically headaches, lots of just funky feelings like that. Emotionally felt really triggered, grumpy, overtired. just like not happy, kind of bah humbug. Like
It kind of felt like a month-long PMS.
it did,
Yeah,
100%, 100%. And I know,
agree.
like through talking to everybody else and lots of friends and clients, it's been the same for everybody. Maybe different, it looks different, but a lot of people have said to me, Christmas just felt blech this year. Like maybe I'm a big Christmas person, but I wasn't even into it, that sort of thing. And so I know like we've kind of as a group talked about like, well, what gives? But as you guys were talking, what was coming in was that one of the like huge lessons in society is that we do not have the ability to hold space for shitty feelings. We as a collective have never really learned over the, many generations. It's not just one generation's fault. It's like this has just been a snowball effect where we have not learned how to hold, sit with, be with, process, move through hard emotions, right? The stuff that we don't like. And that is one piece of why a lot of the issues in the world are the way they are, because we don't know how to sit with discomfort. So we go buy things. We don't know how to sit with, maybe being, and I'm not talking like severe mental illness here. I'm talking like, oh, I'm having a shitty day. I had a shitty day at work. What do I do about that? I go and have a bottle of wine. Power, money, great. Like a lot of those things can stem from a lack of ability to sit with our own shit, to put it bluntly. And I was just talking to someone the other day about this, that Brene Brown talks a lot about when we numb the negative, the bad emotions, they all exist on a spectrum. So when we numb the hard stuff, we also innately numb our ability to feel joyful, to feel fully fully happy, to like go out on a sunny, beautiful day with your family and like really feel the joy that comes along with that. Jeanette, you've talked so much about how joy, happiness, laughter, that is what transmutes. That's what brings us into higher frequencies to be able to reconnect to our true spirit selves, our full, whole mind, body, spirit self. And I almost am now wondering, kind of with what they were just planting in my head, was this a big push of like, okay, sit in the stuff? Because for the first time, I've heard more people say, I just have felt really crappy over the holidays, but I've just kind of like letting it be. Like I'm just in it. I'm not really, even when I try and fix it, it doesn't go away. It doesn't necessarily shift in the way I want it to. It doesn't, I'll go play with my kids, but that's not really bringing me the joy it normally does. It's like forced sitting in the muck so that when that switch flips, we've already started to prime ourselves to be able to feel the full joy, the full side of the other spectrum. It's like it's forcefully almost widening the spectrum for us and kind of pushing us into this place of you have to feel this stuff, because if you want to grow, evolve as humans, you have to feel the hard stuff so that you can fully feel the good stuff, but you're not doing it because no one's taught you how to. So like, here, do it. And you'll survive, you'll be okay. We'll help you out of it, but like you got to be in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that's going to help a lot of people, actually. I think a lot of people are going to really resonate with that, Elise.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, do you guys have any predictions or feelings, insights of what you think 22 is all about?
Let's do that. They show me a lot more of the surfacing stuff too. Like, as a collective grows and ascends, there has to be more and more filtration systems to bring out the things that no longer serve the collective and help in the ascension process. We've been saying this for a ton of time. I think that 2022 isn't going to be a magical year, that all of a sudden everything's going to just be, the shadows are going to be gone and that ascension is going to happen. We're going to live in utopia. Like, I think that we still as a collective still need some more clearing out. And I do see it a lot with things like the global stuff is going to continue to happen. Like there's going to be continuous global stuff, like funky global stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like it's almost like we're going in with a better set of tools. Like
Yeah.
we really went through and saw what tools really help and don't help during this process. And I think that going in, we're going to approach it with a lot better tools. And so that we're going to see situations and be like, wow, before I would have, totally lost it. And I would have, but now it's like, okay, yeah, no, I can handle this. We've seen this before. Like, okay, instead of doing all that stuff to get us here, we've seen this before. We're just going to cut out that stuff because that didn't work. And we're going to handle it this way. And I think we're going to see it in personal communities, like families, and then communities, but on a larger scale within like countries and nations that are going to come together. There's going to be different leadership that's going to start to form, not all next year, but just start. So where there's going to start to bring that change, and it's going to happen faster because of the new tools, but there still has to be some of the filtration stuff. So there'll be resistance a bit, but some of the filtration stuff still has to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really feel that.
What about you, Jeanette?
Well, I also think, well, it kind of echoes in a lot of what Lisa was saying, like more we have the tools and humanity has the tools available if they choose to use them and choose. So I think we're going to be really asked to choose further, choose deeper, and recognize the degree to which we are co-creators of our reality by the fact that we do carry so much choice. Even in the most minute of circumstances, we carry choice in it. And when we get really conscious about that, we can start shifting our reality and our perception of reality, right? So with those things that come up in the tools, like we are going to be asked to choose which tools are you using, right? Why are you using that?
It might be a controversial question, but it just keeps coming up to ask you, okay?
Yeah.
Do you see I don't want to say a mass exit, but do you see a ton of souls choosing to exit?
Good question, to be honest, because last night I did have a vision of like a tombstone and the Archangel Azrael.
Yeah, like I have it coming in so strong on this side where I'm like,
yeah,
like to talk about, and this might be a bit of a controversy, but it is like it's coming out.
Yeah.
So there might be a bunch of people who choose not to renew their soul contract in order to stay within the frequency that they might just say, we're done, we're better on the other side to help. Do you know what I mean?
And that help, I have to say, is very true because I have talked to some spirits whose souls, so clients who their family members have passed, and they were regular souls on this plane, passed recently, but they were involved on the other side of helping the other side to help co-create.
I got like full
the shifts happening here.
Yeah. I think some soul contracts are choosing to do that, being like, my soul, my earth contract with this soul isn't with, like, I haven't built that around me to be able to do what I need to do or what I can do. So I'm going to do it on the other side. I really believe that.
I think a really important statement, and I get why you're saying it could be controversial, and it is hard to talk about because if you don't have the background understanding, it seems like, oh my God, everyone's going to die, mass exodus, death, and it's not that.
And it seems insensitive. Yeah.
It's the choice in the contract, which we actually each get a say within that higher realm of a choice. We do. And so I think that's a good thing to keep in mind if you, those watching, lose somebody this year. Maybe you'll be able to, in reflection of their life or the events leading up to their passing or something, gain some solace from the fact that they most likely were given a point where they could choose. Even if they say had a heart attack, they pop on the other side, there would still be a moment where there would be a question of, do you want to stay or do you want to go? Right? And so it's really important for us to remember that it's not just, big man in heaven saying, you're out of here, right? Like we misinterpret that a lot. So
I've got like a whole bunch too saying they're like, the veil is thin with this too. So I think more people will be able to have better communication with their loved ones when they cross about moving forward. And so lots of questions can be answered in a sense of knowing, like almost like on a higher, like fifth dimensional thing, even if that's not familiar for you. They're saying like, that's another thing to trust, is that if you do have loved ones exiting, they're going to be able to communicate with you easier and you're going to know it.
Yeah.
So that's going to bring comfort too.
Yeah, because with ascension comes that thinning of the veil. It comes that open mind that allows in those communications. So that makes sense.
Totally.
And I pulled cards too for 2022, just because I always find it's a nice bonus. And I got Divine Plan for 2022, and it being expansion. Right? So it's like you're getting ready to move up into higher levels of awareness through embracing your life experiences, meaning using the tools you've gained and choosing how you use them.
But expansion isn't always super comfortable. So just think about that too. Like when, right? It's like, oh, it's a bit uncomfortable. Oh, but now it's like, okay, now things can pass freely. Like expansion isn't always super comfortable. That's why sometimes staying whatever is a little bit more comfortable, right? So they're like, don't forget that expansion doesn't mean like rainbows and unicorns, right? It's bringing light. But the expansion part can be tough. They keep showing me, I said this before, they keep showing me birth. We're in the birthing process.
It's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable.
No, but it brings light.
Totally.
Right?
And think about, like, I have to talk about this, like the birthing process too. It's like, it's not just overnight. Like it doesn't just like from one to the other and the baby's born. Like expansion has to happen. And it, again, not always comfortable, but like women were born to do it. Like their bodies physically are born to do it. You have to trust that your body will do X, Y, Z, all the steps to get you to the place that you have to do it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't just go from 0 to 10 in a second. Right? But without being able to fully explain how our bodies are going to do this, it just does it. So that's like giving this like higher power, this ability to trust in this expansion, be like, I don't know all the steps from 0 to 10. I know though that we can get there. So like continue to guide me and I'll trust. Through every contraction.
Oh boy. Elise, do you have anything else?
The piece that I'm getting is, we've talked a lot about 2022 being about embodiment, and you cannot use your tools unless you are like connected back to yourself, because usually what happens is you'll use those tools, but on like a very surface level, on a very like mental level, I think is often what we see is like, read all the self-help books, do all the, the journaling, and talking and coaching and counseling and all those great things. And that's all great tools, right? Talking with your friends, whatever it may be. But we also need to use those tools on the like physical and spiritual level as well, and really like drop into the wholeness of who we are. Drop into like, forget what everybody around you or all the things happening around you are telling you you should feel like, you should do, you should want, you should be, any of that. What is it that you want? And so often when I ask somebody that question, like through coaching or whatever, they're like, well, I don't know. And it's like, okay, well then let's reconnect you with what that is, because usually you don't know in your brain, but your body, your spirit, your heart knows. It at minimum knows the next step. But we so often make choices, especially around New Year's, like making New Year's resolutions and all this stuff from a very mental place, that then we either do the thing and it doesn't feel like we hoped it would, and we're like, oh, well, that was a waste of time or energy or whatever, or we don't follow through on it because we just don't actually have a real like deep soul connection to the thing that we're doing. So it's like, okay, well, 2 weeks later, I'm going to quit my juice cleanse and go off and eat all my candy or whatever. And so for me, I think it's about continually coming back home to ourselves this year, and like through the potential shitstorm. I know I'm using the word shit so much today, but like through what might come, the expansion, which can feel like a gong show, right? It can feel really intense. It can feel like birth. I haven't heard many people say birth feels great. I haven't birthed a child, but like, haven't heard it's a easy time. How do you get through that? You come back to your breath. You come back to tuning into the strength of your body. You come back to what you know your body can do in this moment, and that you also have tools and supports and things around you that will help you to move through the birthing process. So for me, it's really about coming back to yourself, your whole self, and how do you use your tools, your understandings, your everything in your toolbox to really support yourself and get through it.
I love that.
Who
do we got here?
Sorry, I have to tie up some skates right now. While we're doing this. We built a skating rink in our front yard, and the kids have been doing so good about keeping quiet, but Bree's just standing there at the door waiting for me to tie her skates. So
that's very sweet.
We're just gonna roll.
You guys don't get to skate like that very often when it, in BC.
We don't. So. I know, it's been really amazing. Really amazing.
Yeah, it's been cold here in the Okanagan. We had like minus 35 last week.
Yeah.
That's cold.
Yeah.
Very cold. I have a couple friends in the States that are like, how do you live? How? My one friend was like, does work shut down? I'm like, no, unfortunately not. Maybe people who work outside, but not that.
Hi, Bree.
Hi. Bree. You are.
Love your jacket.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a really great kind of review of everything that's been going on, and perspectives, and where we are now, and then really reviewing and taking the time, I think, today and even in the next few days, like it's not lost if you don't do it today, but to really set, like, where is it you want to go? What do you want to do? How do you want to make the most of this 2022, right? Like 222. Twos are really good auspicious numbers in numerology, right? They're like foundation builders, new beginnings, new opportunities, but with like consciousness behind it. So not just the spark, but like the movement of it. So we have like 3 2s. That's a big thing. So I think if we really kind of pull that all together and really take a moment to just set what do you want? Or maybe what do you want to feel like?
What do you want to feel?
What do you want to feel? Yeah. And then go from there. And
what's
maybe the
really important to you.
Yeah. I think that's so big.
Cool. Well, I hope everyone has a really happy new year.
Yes. Enjoy.
And I may or may not be back for a bit, just because I don't know if the internet is out there. I have to take an unexpected journey to rural Saskatchewan for a month or two with my family, all of them, and the animals, just to bring some love to some family members. So I might or might not be, I don't think I'll be there next week because I know that there's no internet there now, but we might be able to get some. If not, I know you ladies will rock it out.
We'll keep it rolling. Keep it rolling until you're back and able.
I'll come back as soon as I can.
I'm going to print out a picture and I'll just like put it on like a plate here. You're like, she's here. I'm going to do it. I will.
Do it. No, that would be great. Have just a Lisa face.
I'll just like hold it in front of my face. Lisa's here.
Awesome. All right, ladies, have so much fun tonight, ringing in the new year, whatever your plans are.
Me too.
And, many blessings to everybody out there. Happy New Year, and way to go for 2021. Like you did it. You got through this year.
Right. We did.
Well done.
All right, everyone.
Love you all.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.